It's your fault that people say I smell at school. Why did you choose to be a janitor? You are the one who smells. Stay away from me. A year before my son decided to enter high school, he started using harsh words toward me. Because I was working as a janitor, he was probably teased at school. I am Catherine. I was 34 at the time. My son was 12. My husband passed away from an illness shortly after our son started elementary school. In order to raise my son, I started working for a cleaning company. My son was a kind child who often helped me and was considerate of me. However, because of my job, he began to be teased at elementary school, and my son's attitude gradually started to change. When he entered junior high school, he started hanging out with children who were not well behaved and sometimes got picked up by the police for going out at night. The school often called me about his behavior problems. When I thought about how difficult it was to raise a son as a single mother, it was hard. But around the time he became a third-year junior high school student, his problematic behavior suddenly stopped, and he started to take his studies seriously. It seemed that seeing his friends getting arrested by the police for theft changed him. I don't want my life to end up in the gutter like yours. I'm going to graduate from a major university, get a job at a leading company, and live life as an elite, he declared. While I have my own thoughts as a parent about his statement, I was relieved that he was motivated. I thought the priority now is to let him focus on studying. After all, it's a good thing that my son is studying hard at a prestigious high school, and he managed to get into the high school he wanted. I was incredibly happy and proud. The private high school he attended had high entrance and tuition fees, but I increased my work shifts and saved money and somehow managed to afford it. Hey, what's this? This is the only side dish? I'm in my growing phase. Don't you have better meat? I'm sorry, I'm doing my best. Just paying the tuition fee is a stretch for me. Then you should work more. How can you call yourself a parent when you serve such a meager meal? It's a parent's responsibility to make sure their child has enough to eat. My son's language became increasingly violent after he entered high school. Because many of his classmates were from wealthy families, he might have felt that his situation was harsh. I didn't buy anything for myself, cut down on living expenses, and used as much money as possible for him so he wouldn't feel ashamed. Even though he is now abusive, I'm sure he will understand when he grows up. Remembering the gentle boy he was in elementary school, I encouraged myself. When I get into a university, I plan to go study abroad. What? I want to stay for about a year, so I'll need about $25,000 to $30,000. It costs that much? Are you saying you don't have the money? Fulfilling your child's dreams is a parent's duty, right? Don't use being poor as an excuse. I see. Even so, if he goes to a university, more tuition funds will be needed. And how am I going to raise the money for the study abroad expenses? Even now, the life I'm living now is very stretched. To earn as much money as possible, I changed my shift at the custodian company to early mornings and started working at a supermarket that is open until late at night. I worked at the custodian company from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., came home, prepared my son's dinner, did all the housework, and then worked at the supermarket from 5 p.m. until midnight. When I didn't have to work at the custodian, I took on part-time jobs at supermarkets and worked every single day without rest. Later on, my son managed to enter the prestigious private university he'd hoped for. As I myself only finished high school, seeing my son attend university filled me with pride. By his sophomore year, he had chosen to go study abroad. With all the high tuition fees, it was impossible to cover all the study abroad expenses from savings, so we ended up taking out a loan. Furthermore, Life abroad seemed to involve various expenses, and I frequently received requests for money from my son, but I couldn't let him struggle in a foreign land. So, despite the risk of accumulating debt, I couldn't stop sending him money. As a result, he safely completed a year of study abroad and returned home. But his graduation from university was delayed by a year due to him studying abroad. When he returned, my son, as before, asked for pocket money. "Hey John, now that you're a college student, how about getting a part-time job?" "You want your kid to work so you can have it easy? That's unbelievable." "That's not it. What about earning your own pocket money?" "I'm a student. A student's duty is to study, right? If I start a part-time job, I won't be able to focus on job hunting. Are you trying to ruin your child's future as a parent?" This is why I can't deal with people who have low educational backgrounds. "I'm sorry." Despite his attitude remaining unchanged, I felt relieved from the bottom of my heart that he managed to graduate from university. My son's place of employment was a major company, and with that, one of my worries was resolved, allowing me a sigh of relief. After my son got a job, he thankfully stopped asking for pocket money, and my life became much easier. However, the debt from my son's university fees and studying abroad expenses still remained, so I had no choice but to continue working day in, day out. 4 years after my son started working, I was finally close to completely repaying my debt. My son didn't contribute to the household at all, but somehow I managed to continue living. I once tried to have a discussion, hoping he would share some of the financial burden since he was living at home, but was scolded and told, "Are you trying to take money from your child? I need more money because I have more social commitments now that I'm working." The responsibilities of a person who works as a janitor and those who work for a major company are different. Since then, I've never brought up such topics again. I was constantly talked back to in harsh words, and I must have been exhausted from the exchange. By then, I was used to this lifestyle, and working day and night didn't feel strange anymore. But maybe my body was already showing signs of overwork without me realizing it. I had unconsciously been ignoring the warnings my body was trying to convey to me. One day, when I was about to start cleaning a building, I happened to see my son get off the elevator. I inadvertently called out to him, "Isn't that John?" The moment he saw me, my son clearly showed an unpleasant mood. "Huh, who are you?" "What? I don't know any dirty old woman like you. Don't casually talk to me, it's annoying." "Huh?" Being scolded loudly by my son deeply hurt me. Without making eye contact with me, my son quickly left the place. That night, when I came home after finishing the night shift, my son, who was usually asleep by this time, was up, drinking beer in the kitchen. When he saw me, he raised his voice, as if he had been waiting for it. "Hey you, are you out of your mind? What are you talking about all of a sudden? You're so insensitive to talk to me at that place. That building houses important clients of my company." "Oh, is that so? I've been cleaning that building for a long time too. It's a coincidence." "Listen, from now on, even if you see me, never talk to me. If people around me find out my mom's a cleaner, it will be embarrassing. Don't embarrass me." "Embarrassing? I raised you with this job all along." "What? Don't act so self-righteous." "That's not what I meant." "Anyway, we're strangers if we meet outside. Don't talk to me casually. If people find out that someone like you is my parent, it's embarrassing for me." Being told that by my son was indeed a shock. I was shaken by the unexpected words, despite having worked hard day and night for years for my son. I had been hoping that he would change, but I felt that day would never come. After spending a nearly sleepless night, dominated by that thought, I went to work as usual the next morning. Having lost the will to do anything and thinking that I had lived these past 20 years for my son after my husband passed away, I couldn't help but be deeply saddened when I wondered what it all meant. I was working while bearing the sadness and thinking about the past when I suddenly lost consciousness. When I came to, I found myself lying on a bed in a hospital. According to the doctor's explanation, it was due to overwork. It seems you've been very tired. Have you been pushing yourself too hard for a long time? Did I collapse? Your co-workers were worried about you. They said that you were a hard worker, Catherine. I see. In the end, I had to be hospitalized for about a month to recover my health. Of course, the hospital staff contacted my son, but he didn't show up once during my hospitalization. By this time, having already given up and knowing my son would surely not come, I could no longer shed tears and was not shocked by it. But I was cheered up a lot by my work colleagues who were worried about me and took turns visiting me in the hospital. In particular, the first person to rush to my side when he heard that I had collapsed was Tom. Not only did he praise my work, but he was also a very kind person who was always considerate of me in various ways. He had lost his wife at an early age and raised his daughter by himself. Perhaps because we had similar circumstances, we started to talk a lot. You've really been working hard for a long time. I think it's okay to take it easy a little. At Tom's words, I started to cry. I felt a sense of release from the feeling of not being recognized or understood by anyone. I realized that I had probably been crushed by the pressure to work hard all this time. After a month, I finally left the hospital and returned to my daily life as it was before I collapsed. But since I had given up expecting anything from my son, my heart felt a little lighter. I spent my days with little communication with my son, and one day he announced that he was getting married. The daughter of an executive at a company he does business with was his partner. Congratulations! Well, for a guy like me, it's natural. I graduated from a top university, have experience studying abroad, and work for a top company. I wanted to say who he thought had paid for all that, but I thought it was best not to say anything unnecessary. No matter what I say, my son won't change. There is no point in continuing this futile argument. But I'm not inviting you to the wedding. What do you mean? I don't want to be embarrassed by a parent like you at my wedding. I've decided to rent a replacement. Rent? What do you mean? It's a new thing where you can rent a family. If I get someone who looks much wealthier than you to attend as my mother, I won't have to be embarrassed. So you're having a stranger play your mother? Having a stand-in mother at my wedding is way better than having you. So that's how you felt all along? Of course, a top-notch guy like me can't be associated with someone like you. Don't come to my wedding. You're just a poor woman, always scraping together pennies. I understand very well. It doesn't bother me. I'll be moving out of this house once I get married, and I won't be coming back. I'm cutting ties with you, and we'll be nothing more than strangers. Fine by me. Well, good. I feel so relieved knowing I won't have to see your poor face anymore. After that, my son moved out of the family home a week before the wedding and relocated to his new house. I had nothing left to say to him, so I silently saw him off. I thought that this was the end of my role as a parent. There was just one thing that troubled me, but I decided not to tell him about it. Little did I know the outcome it would bring. On the day of the wedding, my son called multiple times. I was busy and couldn't answer, but he was so persistent that I eventually picked up. Why didn't you answer when I'm calling? You answer immediately. It's not like you're busy. Sorry about that. I'm actually quite busy right now. What's up? Isn't your wedding today? Shouldn't you be busy instead of calling? Yes, it's my wedding day. That's why I'm calling you. It's related to the wedding. Please, hurry up and come now. What? What are you saying all of a sudden? Don't make me repeat myself. I'm inviting you to the wedding. You should be grateful. Hurry up and come. Hold on a second. Didn't you say that a mother with a poor face like me is not suitable for you and that you wouldn't invite me to the wedding? You arranged a rental service, didn't you? Quit nagging. You plan to come too, right? You should come and see the proud moment of your only son. I'm sorry, but I'm busy. I don't have time to go to your wedding. Are you serious? Yes, I am. Well, I'm hanging up now. I tried to hang up quickly, but in a panic, my son continued to speak. His voice seemed rather flustered. Wait, do you know a man named Tom, who is the president of the company where my bride's father works? What happened? He came up to me with a smile and told me that he owes you a lot. Could it be that Tom? Yes, that's him. We have invited him as an honored guest from the bride's side. He said, it's truly a joyous occasion that the daughter of our valued employee and Catherine's son are getting married. Oh, that's right. I've been friendly with Tom for a while. Really? Why are you friendly with the president of such a large corporation? I think I've told you before, but I clean the building where Tom's company is located. Have you forgotten? Ah, that building? In the past, the building where my son and I coincided during work was the company of President Tom. He is a wonderful president who cares about each and every employee, a friendly person who also talks to cleaning staff like us. A conversation started when I, as a cleaner, found something of his left in the washroom and delivered it to him. Why would a mere cleaner and the president of a large corporation become friends? Well, we found out that we were both single parents and had a lot to talk about. So, when I was talking with Tom earlier, he said, I can't find your mother. You didn't invite your real mother, did you? Won't it be fine? How about introducing a rental mother? You're a familiar face, so I'll get caught. Oh, really? Really? Is not the right response. Get over here right now. Don't make me say it over and over. I am not coming. Since Tom learned that I was raising my son alone, he has often taken care of us and given advice. When my son told me about the company his father-in-law works for, I was really surprised. I never dreamed that the person my son is marrying is the daughter of a senior executive at Tom's company. I told Tom about this. I also told him that my son had told me I'm not invited to the wedding. Then he said he had a good idea and asked me to keep our acquaintance secret until the wedding day. If my son had come to visit me even once, he would have realized that Tom, who visited me almost every day when I was in the hospital, and I knew each other. I thought it would have been less surprising today. It's embarrassing if you don't come. They're saying that you raised me all by yourself and struggled, and that I should thank my mother. I'm being told that. So, John, do you have a sense of gratitude towards me? Are you stupid? It's a parent's duty to raise their children. Why do I have to thank you for something that's a given? But at this rate, it seems like I'm going to be embarrassed. It's also a parent's role to fix that. Come over here right now and brag to the people around me that I'm a great son who doesn't need to rely too much on his mother. Hearing those words make me even more convinced that I don't need to go. What do you mean? You're a parent. I quit being a parent. Actually, I was never your mother in the first place. Well, since this is the result, it seems I couldn't be your parent, so I've given up on you. I don't understand what you mean. I revealed to my son a fact that I had been hiding all along. Actually, he was not my biological child. I married John's father when he was 2 years old. His former wife, it seemed, had died right after childbirth. At that time, I was working at a bakery, and the wife's husband used to come often to buy bread with their young son. Eventually, he started coming to buy bread almost daily, and one day he asked me out. John quickly became friendly with me, and seeing the husband working hard as a single father, I decided to get married. However, I never expected that my husband would pass away unexpectedly early. I made a decision to raise his child single-handedly, as if he were my own. I thought I had been doing my best, but it seemed I couldn't perfectly fulfill the role of a parent. So I swore in my heart to give up on my son. The moment I made that decision, my heart surprisingly felt lighter. I have done everything I could, so I have no regrets. Upon hearing my words, my son fell silent. Your own actions will come back to you. You are no longer a child. You should take responsibility for your actions. Parents do not solve everything, and I am no longer your parent. With those words, I hung up the phone. Tom was asked to give a speech as a guest of honor at the wedding. Later, Tom reported with a smile that he gave an excellent speech. At that time, someone had recorded the speech and he showed me the video. Day and night, without a break, this mother raised her son John alone. She supported him by going into debt for his college fees and his study abroad expenses. During this time, John did not work a part-time job and begged his mother for money. He has grown into a fine adult. However, even as an adult, he does not contribute to household expenses, repeatedly uses abusive language, and appears to have refused to invite her to his wedding ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to our splendid groom. Tom was speaking loudly during the speech. My son, who was sitting on the stage, turned pale. The bride next to him turned bright red and trembled. And then, in the next moment, poured a bottle of wine over the son's head. This scoundrel! The bride's shout was clearly audible. The bride held up her dress and disappeared from the spot. The guests booed loudly, and the son was drenched in wine, his face a mess with tears and a runny nose. My son's white tuxedo was dyed red and completely wet. Looking at my pitiful son, I felt no emotion. It was as if I was watching a farce of strangers. Of course, the wedding was called off. Many colleagues from the company and related parties were invited to the wedding, so word of what happened spread quickly, and it seems he received harsh looks, both inside and outside the company. In the end, he had no choice but to resign from the company, and the entire situation was spread on social media, and it seems he couldn't find another job. I heard that after the bride left, he couldn't pay the rent for his new home and was evicted. About a month later, I got a call from a public phone. Mom, where are you? Who's this? I don't have anyone who calls me Mom. It's John. It's me. Oh, I used to know someone by that name. What are you talking about? I'm sorry, it was my fault. I need your help. I don't have a job right now and I have to pay back the cost of the wedding. And I don't have anywhere to go. When I went to the house, you weren't there and someone else was living there. I moved. Oh yes, the day of your wedding was moving day. That's why I said I was busy. Where did you move to? We're strangers now, so there's no need to tell you. I'm sleeping in a park right now. Oh, you become homeless? Yes, I'm picking up empty cans and somehow making a living. You, who once made fun of my job as a cleaner, are now picking up empty cans? That's funny. Don't you feel sorry for me? Not at all. We've cut ties, so I don't think anything of it. Sorry, but please don't contact me anymore. Goodbye. Really? With those words, I hung up the phone. After that, there was no more calls from him. He might be in a situation where he couldn't call because he had no money, but that doesn't concern me. I have no intentions of ever seeing him or getting involved with him again. Afterwards, I remarried with Tom. His daughter is married and has moved out of the house, but she's very happy about our marriage. From now on, I plan to cherish my married life with him and walk through the second stage of my life.